You can now buy a ticket to a Cleveland Browns game for a single dollar. Not $50, not $20, $1. And yet, fans still aren't showing up. What started as a quarterback controversy has spun into a full-blown crisis, not just on the field, but in the stands, in the locker room, and across the entire franchise. Browns Nation isn't just frustrated, they're revolting. The stadium's half empty. Ticket prices have collapsed to fast food levels. And why? Because Shedeur Sanders still isn't starting. The fans aren't just watching from home. They're staying home on purpose, protesting, boycotting, withholding their dollars until one thing happens. Shedeur Sanders takes the field. The Browns' refusal to play their most exciting young quarterback has sparked something rare in professional sports: a full-scale fan rebellion. Influencers, insiders, even former players are calling it out. And now, the question looming over the franchise is no longer just who should start at QB. It's how long can the Browns ignore their fans before everything collapses for good? Tickets are cheap, but this crisis is getting expensive. And what happens next could decide the future of the team, the coach, and the quarterback fans are demanding to see. Not long ago, the Cleveland Browns were riding a wave of excitement. New additions, a re-energized fan base, and the promise of a quarterback room stacked with potential. Ticket prices reflected that momentum, starting north of $50, with most games expected to sell out or come close. But that optimism didn't last long. As soon as the season kicked off and Dillon Gabriel was named the starter over Shedeur Sanders, everything started to shift. Fans weren't just surprised, they were stunned. And when Sanders stayed glued to the bench week after week, that shock turned into something much more serious: a silent protest. First, the stadium lost its buzz. Then, seats started going empty. By week 4, resale sites were showing tickets at $600. By week 6, fans were scoring seats for just $1 or just refusing to attend at all. And it wasn't just about wins and losses. The frustration stemmed from something deeper, a feeling that the team was ignoring what it had. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just an exciting rookie. He was the reason many fans bought tickets to begin with. His college highlights went viral. His poise in preseason stood out. He had buzz, and the Browns sat on it. Now, the fans are sending a message with their wallets. Boycotts began quietly, but they spread fast. A few canceled tickets turned into mass no-shows. Browns fans started sharing screenshots online of resale tickets going for less than a drive-through meal. It wasn't apathy, it was intentional. And as more seats go empty, the Browns are paying the price, literally. Losses on the field were bad enough, but now they're stacking losses at the box office too. The front office expected revenue. Instead, they got embarrassment. And yet, Shedeur Sanders still isn't starting. The boycott isn't losing steam. If anything, it's gaining momentum. And unless something changes soon, this won't just be a temporary slide. It could be the start of something Cleveland hasn't seen in decades: a total fan disconnect. You'd think a rookie sitting third on the depth chart wouldn't be making national headlines. But Shedeur Sanders isn't just a backup. He's a symbol. And for Browns fans, he represents everything this team could be if the coaching staff would just get out of its own way. From training camp, the buzz around Sanders was undeniable. His footwork, clean. His arm strength, pro-ready. Most importantly, composure. He didn't look like a rookie trying to survive. He looked like a quarterback ready to lead. Reporters, insiders, even opposing players started taking notice. So when Dillon Gabriel was handed the starting job, despite Sanders consistently outperforming him in practice, the move didn't spark confidence. It sparked confusion. Some thought it was temporary, a developmental tactic, maybe even strategic. But as weeks passed and Gabriel struggled, That confusion turned to outrage. And the excuses? Fans heard them all. He's not ready. He's still adjusting. He might be injured. But Sanders looked healthy in practice, sharp, confident, explosive. So why wasn't he playing? That's when speculation took over. Fans began questioning not just the roster decisions, but the entire narrative surrounding Sanders. Some believe the team was afraid to admit Gabriel wasn't the guy. Others think there's a deeper issue behind closed doors. But no matter the theory, the outcome is clear. Browns fans don't trust the messaging anymore. And Shedeur Sanders? He's no longer just a quarterback prospect. He's the face of protest, the reason fans are boycotting. Influencers are speaking out, and analysts are pushing back against the Browns' front office narrative. He's the quarterback fans believe can ignite the offense and turn embarrassment into excitement. And every time he doesn't step on the field, that belief only gets louder. The question everyone's asking now isn't, is Shedeur ready? It's why are the Browns pretending like he isn't? At first, it looked like just another angry fan response. A few tweets, a couple of canceled tickets. The classic overreaction to a losing streak. But this is something much bigger. What's happening in Cleveland right now isn't just disappointment. It's a fan-led revolt, and it's gaining serious momentum. The hashtag #NoShedeur movement isn't a hashtag. It's now showing up in empty seats, slashed prices, and an energy shift that feels impossible to ignore. Die-hard fans like Mace are refusing to attend games altogether, despite being season ticket holders. Others are dumping their tickets online for pennies, with some going as low as $1 per seat, just to avoid giving the franchise any more support. Even Garrett Bush, a respected Browns insider and voice in the local sports community, is calling out the front office publicly. He's not just criticizing the decision to sit Shedeur Sanders. He's accusing the team of actively misleading the fan base week after week. And his message is loud and clear. If it's not embarrassing to the organization, it should be embarrassing to the fans. It's working. Stadium sections that once packed in loyal Browns fans are now empty. Major media outlets are picking up the story. Analysts like Skip Bayless, James Jones, and LaShawn McCoy aren't carefully choosing words. They're calling it what it is: coaching malpractice. They're warning that this isn't just about wins anymore. It's about credibility. Every home game that rolls around, the Browns look less like a team with a fired-up fan base and more like a franchise in free fall. Because the people who built its identity, its energy, its atmosphere are no longer showing up. And unless Shedeur suits up soon, this boycott won't fizzle out. It will keep spreading. Not because fans hate the team, but because they still believe in it. Just not in the version that's ignoring the only guy they actually want to see on that field. For most of his tenure, Kevin Stefanski has been seen as calm, collected, a player's coach. But now, he's becoming the one everyone is pointing at. The national media isn't even trying to be subtle anymore. In the past week, voices across sports talk shows and social channels have called him out directly, not just for the Browns' performance, but for refusing to make the most obvious quarterback move in football. LaShawn McCoy didn't pull any punches. He straight up said Stefanski would be delusional to keep running Dillon Gabriel out there. After the brutal Jets game, McCoy made it clear, continuing this path is coaching malpractice. James Jones took it even further, questioning whether Stefanski's refusal to play Shedeur Sanders is personal. He suggested there might be something going on behind closed doors, saying, "It's like Stefanski doesn't like him." But Shedeur didn't ask to be here. Y'all drafted him. That line hit hard, because if there's even a perception of bias or ego guiding this decision, it's over. And it's not just media voices fueling the fire. Players are starting to speak without speaking. Myles Garrett's body language alone said everything. His sideline frustration, stiff post-game comments, and blunt public stance that winning matters more than patience shows a captain who's lost faith in the plan. Inside the locker room, the tension is getting harder to contain. It's no longer coach versus media. It's coach versus momentum. And he's losing. Every interview, every evasion, every vague developmental comment Stefanski gives is spinning into noise. Loud, frustrated, full-volume backlash. And here's the real problem. Stefanski no longer controls the conversation. He's reacting to it. That's a dangerous position for any NFL head coach, especially when everyone watching starts asking the same question. What's he protecting? Because if it's not wins, not locker room unity, and not the future of the franchise, then what is it? On the surface, the Browns are still suiting up, showing up, and saying the right things. But behind the scenes, this locker room is splitting. It started with frustration, quiet glances, shrugged shoulders, veterans shaking their heads after another stalled drive. Then came the subtle signs, players avoiding eye contact in meetings, small groups forming after practice, and leaders backing away from the coaching message. And at the center of it all, Myles Garrett. Garrett has been the Browns' tone setter for years, a team-first star who rarely shows cracks. But lately, those cracks are showing. After losses, his interviews are shorter, his tone sharper. And when asked about the team's direction, he's not hiding his frustration. "Yeah, I want to win, and sometimes that frustration spills over," he said. That wasn't just emotion. That was a warning shot. Garrett's confrontation with Stefanski behind closed doors made headlines for a reason. It was the first time a player publicly challenged the staff's logic. But sources say he's not alone. Several players are now questioning the plan, the leadership, and a quarterback situation that's dragging down their season. Some remain loyal to Stefanski out of trust, repetition, or silence. Others quietly believe Shedeur Sanders represents something better: hope, energy, direction. But the deeper issue isn't just who starts at quarterback. It's who still believes in the system. Players need to trust that their coaches see what they see. Missed throws, stalled drives, falling morale, and will act. When that trust fades, leadership doesn't dissolve in one moment. It fractures piece by piece. And right now, Cleveland is starting to feel those pieces falling apart. If Stefanski doesn't fix this soon, the divide won't just stay inside the walls. It'll show up on Sundays. And by then, the damage might already be done. The Cleveland Browns aren't just losing games. They're losing everything that matters to an NFL franchise, all at once. Fan trust? Gone. Team morale? Cracking. Revenue? Plummeting. What started as quarterback controversy has now bled into the Browns' financial core. Ticket prices once anchored so high in some markets. Not because of recession, not because of weather, but because fans are openly, actively rejecting the product. And the message isn't subtle. They're not selling their tickets because the team is losing. They're doing it because they no longer believe in the decision makers. Local businesses are feeling the ripple. Concessions aren't moving. Parking lots are empty. Merch doesn't have the same buzz. What's supposed to be 70,000 fans bringing energy and spending power is turning into a half-filled stadium that's bad for business and worse for team psyche. And here's the real cost: time. Every week spent doubling down on Dylan Gabriel is a week wasted. Not just on the scoreboard, but in development, identity, and momentum. The longer Shedeur Sanders sits, the harder it becomes to build around him, when fans and players are clearly ready for that shift. Waiting might seem like strategy, but in a city starving for postseason relevance, waiting looks like willful blindness. And the longer the Browns hesitate, the more damage they do. Not just to this season, but to the years that follow. Because when you lose games, that's one thing. But when you start losing hearts, when the fan base checks out, the players start pulling back, and even your rising QB isn't allowed onto the field, that's not rebuilding. that's freefall. And every decision the front office delays from here on out costs them more than they can afford. This is the tipping point. The Browns aren't juggling a simple depth chart debate anymore. They're managing a crisis that touches the field, the wallet, and the soul of the fan base. Tickets at $1, empty sections, and a locker room stretched thin aren't random symptoms. They're the cost of ignoring what everyone can see. Fans have drawn a line. No Shedeur, no support. That pressure isn't just loud, it's effective. Revenues slide, optics crumble, and every week Shedeur sits, the story shifts from patience to paralysis. Rumors suggest members of the front office are uneasy. Reports claim even insiders expect a pivot. But here's the hard truth. A cameo won't fix this. A plan will. Kevin Stefanski already admitted the original decision was wrong. Now the only thing that matters is what follows. If Shedeur plays, it can't be a panic move. It has to be a clear commitment. Tailored scripting, real reps, a message that restores belief. If Gabriel starts again, there must be transparency, defined benchmarks, visible accountability, and a timeline the locker room can trust. Because this isn't just about who takes the first snap. It's about whether players and fans believe the people in charge still see the same game they do. Myles Garrett's urgency, analyst criticism, and the boycott movement all point to one reality. Leadership must act, not just explain. Stay the course, and the Browns risk more than another loss. They risk another fractured year, a colder fan base, and a coach judged not by the wins he chased, but by the moment he let pass. Change course, and there's a spark waiting. A quarterback with momentum, a locker room looking for direction, and a city ready to care again. Every franchise gets a window. Cleveland's is open right now, barely. Fix it, and the season can still mean something. Ignore it, and the fall won't stop at the standings. So what will it be? Protect a plan that's failing, or unlock a future that's begging for a chance?